Hey, good morning, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I am filming this morning from my couch in my family room. It's roughly about 7 a.m., and today is a significant day. So I am filming not to show you progress or any new projects or any before and afters with the house remodel. Today I'm filming to just explain what today is and how we're preparing for it and why it's significant. So today, I guess in the liturgical calendar for Protestantism is Maundy Thursday. For Catholicism, I believe it's Holy Thursday. And the significance of this day is that it is the day where Jesus spent the evening in the upper room with his disciples, sharing in a traditional Jewish Passover meal. Today being just days before he goes to the cross. So, in our tradition, in our family's tradition, we celebrate a traditional Passover meal on this day as well. It's called a Seder supper, and we celebrate it as true to tradition as we possibly can, being Christians and having things available that we have and maybe not having some of the same things that were available to Jesus and his disciples over 2,000 years ago. But we try to come close and we try to be respectful of the tradition. So as Christians, obviously we're not Jewish, so there are some things that we don't do that are traditional for Jewish culture. We celebrate it as Christians. We celebrate the meal, and we have a long reading that explains why the Passover was originally celebrated. We bring in a lot of scripture. There is a lot of explaining. There is a lot of retelling of the Exodus story, the plagues, and then it brings into why we celebrate it as Christians, because Jesus was the Lamb. And it's just a beautiful symbolic telling and celebration of Jesus going to the cross just days later in the original Passover that Jesus had with his disciples. So today is Maundy Thursday. Today I am cooking. Ooh, I'm cooking, man. I have 2 legs of lamb because the traditional Seder was lamb. But I also make a small chicken because inevitably there's somebody who just either doesn't like lamb or doesn't feel comfortable eating lamb, or whatever their reasoning is, they don't want the lamb. So I make lamb, I make chicken, and the other traditional meal components are plain rice, a green vegetable. I have in the past made spinach, but I prefer broccoli, and a traditional ratatouille, which I make as a stew. We've been doing this for years, and I did finally find a recipe for the ratatouille that everybody really, really likes. It's really flavorful. It's really, really good. So I'll be making all of those things. But in addition to the meal components, there is a Seder supper plate that has all the symbolic pieces of the meal. So on there is a lamb bone to symbolize the lamb, but not just the lamb that was sacrificed so that we could have our meal, but the lamb that was going to be sacrificed, Jesus as the lamb. We have an egg that symbolizes new life. And there's Parsley, can't remember off the top of my head what that symbolizes, but there's salt water that symbolizes the tears of hardship and oppression in ancient Egypt of the Israelites. We have horseradish, which symbolizes bitterness of slavery, again, of the Israelites as slaves in Egypt. And we have a dish called carousel, which is, it's actually a sweet dish. It's a mixture of apples, honey, raisins, and nuts. But when it's prepared, it looks like straw. So it symbolizes the straw bricks that the Israelites had to make in building of the Pharaoh's temple. So all of these things are very symbolic. We have a special Seder plate that all of these items are placed on, and the reading throughout the meal explains each of the items, and it explains its purpose on the plate and its reference in the meal. And so during, like before we actually eat the meal, there's a long reading. We have what's called a Seder Haggadah. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong because I'm not Jewish and nobody's ever told me the correct pronunciation. If you're Jewish and you know how to say that, you could like maybe leave it in the comments, like a pronunciation key, or I don't know. Anyway, it's the reading booklet for the Christian Seder. And so there's a leader, which is usually the male leader of the household. So my husband reads that part. There's a part reading for the mother, and that's usually my part. There is a part for a child. So our son has been reading that part, I think, since he was maybe 6 years old. It's just, it asks a lot of the questions that we answer throughout the meal. Why we celebrate it this way, why we eat certain foods in a certain way. And then the mother and the leader, the father, answer all these questions for the child. Let's see what else. The people participate for sure. There are parts where they read along in unison. And then there is what's called the 4 cups. So throughout the meal, there are 4 symbolic cups from the fruit of the vine. So we serve grape juice and grape wine, similar to what they would have had back in ancient Israel. And each cup symbolizes something specific throughout the meal, the last cup being Holy Communion, the Lord's Supper. So we have special bread that we eat throughout the meal that is incorporated as a symbolic, it's called matzah bread, similar to the flat unleavened bread that the Israelites had to bring in haste when they made their exodus out of Egypt. They didn't have time to let their yeast rise, so their bread was flat. But that was all that they could bring. So we incorporate that flat bread into our meal, and there's no leaven present, so there's no fluffy, soft bread in the meal. And so if you're ever interested, ask about it. And actually, if you live nearby and you ever want to see or participate in one, obviously today is too late for an invitation plus COVID. But if you live locally or you're willing to drive a little bit and you ever want to participate, shoot me a message, leave a comment down below. And we would be happy to invite you to next year. This is a celebration that our family has made a tradition for years, and we absolutely love doing it. But even more than just doing it, we absolutely love bringing people in and celebrating it with us. So last year, obviously, COVID was brand new, and we sadly only had it with just me, myself, and my husband. And we were very bummed that we didn't get to have any family, friends, or anything like that. But fortunately this year, with the vaccines out and about, most of our family has now been, not myself and my husband yet, but our in-laws and our parents, the older members of our family, have actually been vaccinated. So we feel comfortable at least just having a small group. So my mother-in-law and her husband and some family friends, also vaccinated, and my mom are coming today to celebrate in this year's Seder. But like I said, next year, if you are curious and you're interested and you want to know more about this and you want to participate, we would love to have you. For us, this is almost as big a celebration as Easter Resurrection Sunday itself. That is our biggest celebration of the entire holiday year because we celebrate the Passover in memory of Jesus being the sacrificial lamb that in just days was going to die on that cross. And, you know, we celebrate the solemnity of it. And then on Sunday, we joyously celebrate the resurrection and how important that is for us as Christians. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that. It's going to be a pretty busy day because I'll be puttering around the house, getting the symbolic foods and the symbolic plates prepared, and all of the elements that have to be present on the table for the meal itself. Candles, a bowl to wash our hands, a towel to dry them, the 4 cups for each participant. You know, there's a lot that gets, you know, brought into play, a lot that has to get done in preparation for this meal. It's very important that each element be present because it's read through during the actual ceremonial meal. So I have to make sure I have everything accounted for. And our company is arriving, I think, around 10:30 or 11. But we won't sit down for the meal until probably around 1 or 1:30. So we'll get to visit. We actually haven't seen our family in many, many months because of COVID and because we moved. So it will be nice to sit and visit and talk before we sit in and have our meal. So I just wanted to say to everybody, you know, remember today. Remember the importance of today. Today was the Last Supper. Today, Jesus sat down with his disciples for one last Passover. Tomorrow is Good Friday. Tomorrow, we remember that Jesus was nailed to the cross, where he bled out and died a horrific death so that he could conquer sin for you and for me and for all of humanity. Tomorrow is important. This season, this holiday, Easter, is so important. And if you don't know why, and if you celebrate Easter with bunnies and eggs and baskets, and you make Easter dresses and hats more important than Jesus, you're celebrating it wrong. Jesus died for us. If you don't know that, find yourself a good Bible-based church. Jesus died to give us hope. To give us hope for a future. To give us hope and joy and peace. And so much more that I can't cover in a short Facebook video or a short YouTube video. But it's important. Remember why we celebrate Easter. It's not about chocolate eggs. It's not about a bunny. It's not about peeps and ham dinners and big desserts. It's about Jesus and what he did and why he did it. Remember that. I wish everybody a happy Mandy Thursday. I will be silent tomorrow in recognition of Holy Thursday and Good Friday. And I will be celebrating joyously on Sunday, as I hope so many of you will be. So, happy Easter, everyone. And subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like this video. And please definitely leave comments below if you want to know more about our Seder supper, how we celebrate it, where I got my resources, and if you want to participate next year, let me know. We'd love to have you. Bye, guys.